A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to Primetime News. We're coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Azra, let's now take a look at the headlines.
Railway trade union action temporarily called off. Minister Karunanayake assures no power cuts from tomorrow. Trade unions question practicality. State Minister Ranjan Ramanayake speaks about power mafia.
පිළිකාද ලේබඩ යනවද එලියට බයිද්දී ඔලුවට හෙන හත ගහලා පුපුරනවද කියන තත්ත්වයේ පුදුම මාෆියාවක් මේක.
Court orders to provide security for Namal Kumara. Western Provincial Council convenes for the last time.
Main sponsor. Life's magic with Soft Logic.
On to those stories in detail. Now, the strike action scheduled to commence from midnight by trade unions attached to the railway sector was temporarily called off following discussions with the Minister of Transport. A number of trade unions attached to railway sector representing station masters, guards, controllers and drivers were preparing to launch the strike action.
Meanwhile, All Ceylon Private Bus Workers Association says it will go on strike for 24 hours against the revised fines introduced by the government. However, the Interprovincial Private Bus Owners Association said it is still in talks on resolving their issues. The Lanka Private Bus Owners Association said the association is not aware of any strike action and they have decided not to go on strike.
We are not aware of a strike action. We were also informed through the media. They called us today to inquire about a strike action. We don't have enough time to hold discussions with other associations and make a decision. We informed them that we will support it if it is done after the festive season. Our association has not made a decision in this regard.
Now, it has been 21 days since the people of this country have been inconvenienced due to intermittent power cuts.
They say that power cuts will be halted from the 10th of this month. All factories have been closed. There is no use in having a government. The government has failed to fulfill the responsibilities. The cabinet must resign from their respective positions. We are compelled to stop all work and stay at home. The MPs face no problems as they receive petrol and vehicles free of charge. If we fail to settle our electricity bill, they disconnect power and charge a penalty fee. However, who will take the responsibility for the damage caused to our products and equipment due to these power cuts? The Prime Minister claims that he made the country self-sufficient. However, an average local is finding it hard to pay for 2 yards of dress material. On top of that, they are cutting power and water. They speak of a ship that will generate power, but there is no ship and no power. Meanwhile, Minister of Power and Energy Ravi Karunanayake submitted a proposal regarding the long-term purchasing of power to the cabinet today. However, the cabinet paper was not approved as further considerations were required in this regard. There is no further requirement to disconnect power. After power interruptions in the evening tomorrow, we had to disconnect power due to the shortage in power supply. However, we have set up a power generation plan to address this power shortage. This plan consists of a short-term approach and it will take 1.5 years to implement a permanent power generation program. This plan is cost-effective and steps have been taken to implement it with minimum cost. What was purchased at 35 to 40 rupees is now purchased by the CEB for half the price. According to the PUCSL, approximately 350 megawatts is what deviates. 350 megawatts of power can be self-generated. When state and private institutions generate their own power and if they are removed from the national grid, power can be purchased at a lower price and the electricity mafia will receive less, resulting in an overall profit. This is what the minister says. By the 10th of this month, many factories will close and therefore there will be no power shortage. However, after the 20th, these companies will resume operation. Vesak is also nearing. The Ceylon Electricity Board says during the prevailing power crisis, power generation will be at risk if the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation limits the supply of furnace oil. A senior officer of the CEB says that such a situation may arise in the face of high debt the CEB owes the CPC.
Cooperation agreement to build a 100 megawatt floating solar energy power plant in Madru Oyo Reservoir was signed today at the Presidential Secretariat. Agreement was signed before President Maithripala Sirisena by Secretary to the Minister of Power and Energy Surya Batogoda and Regional Director of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Cabinet proposal for this project was put forward by the President as the Minister of Mahabali Development Authority and Environment, Minister of Technology and Research and by the Minister of Power and Energy. According to the cooperation agreement, floating solar power plant will be deployed in the reservoirs belonging to the Mahabali regions. In more local news now, State Minister Ranjan Ramanayake said in public today that a power mafia is taking place in the country.
විදුලිය ඔය බටගොඩ මහත්තයාගේ තියෙන මාෆියාවනේ තියෙන්නේ අපි පහුගිය ටිකේ දැක්කනේ.
What is going on is Batagoda's mafia. There were power cuts those days too. As a member of the corp, the electricity mafia is a heinous act. Those who were in the CEB are the ones who have left the organization and sell electricity to the CEB through a mafia by building machines from the private sector.
මේක ඇවිල්ලා මං හිතන්නේ මේ ඇයට මං හිතන්නේ ඒ ලෙඩ ගැන කියන්න බෑ. පිළිකාද ලේබඩ යනවද එළියට බයිද්දි ඔළුවට හෙන හත ගහලා පුපුරනවද කියන තත්ත්වේ පුදුම මාෆියාවක් මේක.
A situation has been created where these people will be cursed because of the burden shouldered by the general public. This is revenge. When they speak about Batagoda, they call him a doctor, double doctor, a proctor, a PhD holder and a lawyer. But if there is no humanity in him, these titles are useless.
ඉතින් මනුස්සකම නැත්තම් ඔය මොන ටයිටල් දුන්නත් වැඩක් නැහැ.
In more local news, the Western Provincial Council convened for the last time today.
The country has been in the dark for hours during the past 21 days. Representatives of the government now speak of a power mafia. The public transport sector was set to go on strike, crippling the general public during the festive season. In the
Stay tuned, we'll be back after this short commercial break. Now, with the prevailing crisis in the country, let's go back to a statement made by the former Prime Minister of Singapore and let's listen to what he had to say.
The country has been in the dark for hours during the past 21 days. Representatives of the government now speak of a power mafia. The public transport sector was set to go on strike, crippling the general public during the festive season. In the end, the general public continued to suffer. This is how an exemplary leader stood by the people and solved a similar problem when a group attempted to obstruct the lives of the general public.
I can tell you that when I met the SIA pilots, I didn't meet them on TV. I met them face to face, 5 feet across the table so they can see me and see whether I'm still vigorous, able to campaign and take them on. And I offered them 2 choices. Either you argue, you stop this intimidation, ruining his reputation, millions of dollars worth of advertisements and sales. I gave them a choice. Continue this and I will, by every means at my disposal, teach you and get the people of Singapore, help me teach you a lesson you won't forget. And I'm prepared to start all over again or stop it.
Singapore wage කෙලින් ජනාධිපති හිටියා නම් උගල ස්ට්‍රයික් කරනකොට නේ ආරම්භය. හා? ඒ වගේ පාලනයක් තිබ්බත් හරියයි ලංකාවට.
Why can't the leaders of our country see the example set by other world leaders?
The Cabinet has granted approval to appoint Nadan Guruge as the new Commissioner General of the Inland Revenue Department. Nadan Guruge, a graduate of the Sri Jayawardhanpura University, has been serving as the Acting Commissioner General of the Inland Revenue Department. He joined the department in 1984. In more local news, a group claiming themselves as Chinese investors met with the public representatives of the Hambantota Municipal Council today.
The investors were visiting Hambantota to hold discussions about investment opportunities in the area. Our correspondent reported that councillors representing the ruling party and the opposition were present at the meeting. The mayor said that many investors involved in helicopter and sailing ship manufacturing were present at the discussions. The team left the meeting to inspect suitable land in the area.
The ambassador of Afghanistan to Sri Lanka, Ashraf Haidari, spoke at a public lecture at the Institute of National Security yesterday.
The event was attended by students and members of the tri-forces. During an open discussion under the topic of the Indian Ocean, why the stabilization of Afghanistan matters to ensuring maritime security, the ambassador spoke on the war against drugs and how to ensure its permanent eradication in order to ensure regional stability.
So the question is to ask why the problem has not, been resolved. Here you can make any number of arrests, all these, operations that you have had recently, but it will not stop unless we, the whole world, and the countries that matter, strategically get together, invest the resources, of course, change old, outdated policies. While we know the big kingpins with big names involved in politics in many countries are just freely roaming around the world. So how to disentangle politics and weaken their influence and the politics of countries with weak state institutions.
A team of high-level experts in disaster risk management representing countries of the Asia-Pacific visited the Newsfirst headquarters this morning.
The team was led by the country president of the Asia-Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management, or APAD, in Sri Lanka, Firzan Hashim. The delegation was introduced to the flagship Sahana Yatra initiative, which has over the past decade acted as a catalyst in disaster response, relief, preparedness and also search and rescue. A discussion was held on how this model could be replicated regionally in order to expedite relief efforts by adopting a multi-stakeholder approach.
Taking a look back on one of our local stories, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing malpractices at state institutions recorded evidence on alleged corruption and irregularities said to have taken place by the Ministry of Education on the project to provide tabs to school students.
Today's witness, Senior Assistant Secretary for Procurement Mahesh Hevavitarna, said the process calling for bids was postponed on 4 separate occasions, citing various reasons. The witness said the bid of the selected supplier was priced at 7.4 billion rupees, while the government allocation for the project was just 5 billion rupees. He said thereafter negotiations took place with the selected supplier and another supplier only, and it must be noted 8 suppliers put forward bids for this project. The witness accepted the fact the appropriate measure was to negotiate with all 8 suppliers. These revelations that were disclosed at the Presidential Commission today were previously exposed by Newsfirst. Likewise, Newsfirst also exposed several facts regarding the infamous central bank bond scam, which were later confirmed by the Bond Commission that was appointed by President Maithripala Sirisena. Newsfirst is also in possession of several reports of the Auditor General with regard to large-scale fraud and corruption. Await detailed information on these matters in the near future.
The Western Provincial Council convened for the last time today.
The Chief Minister acted in a justly manner, preserving the honour of the council members. We accept that. We did not let him lose his dignity as well. It was not the board tour who protected the Chief Minister over 4 years. It was we who protected him. We were the ones who made him win the votes. We were the ones who won the budget for him. We protected him for 4 years, and in these past 4 months, he completely destroyed us in the opposition. This is the true story. One thing that I realized is that the member of the Western Provincial Council shows great interest in the education of children studying in schools under the purview of the Western Provincial Council. I am here because of the Grade 5 scholarship exam. The Grade 5 scholarship is the only way that the poor parent can hope on enrolling their child at a school like Royal College, Ananda, Nalanda, DS, Isipatana, Thurston, Visaka Devi Balika and schools like Dharma Raja, Malyadeva and Matra Rahula. This is a serious problem in the way that the exam is being conducted at present. There is no school that will come to the children of this country by cancelling the exam. We as councillors among the relevant officials and educational specialists should find a way to fix the method in which the exams are conducted.
විභාගයේ අහෝසි කිරීම තුලින් කිසිදු යහපතක් මේ රටේ දරුවන්ට සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
The term of the Western Provincial Council will expire on the 21st of this month. The term of the Southern Provincial Council will end at midnight today, and the number of provincial councils whose terms have expired increases to 7. The terms of the Eastern, North Central and Sabragamuwa provinces ended in 2017, while the terms of the Central, Vyamba and Northern Provincial Council ended in September 2018. A provincial councillor is entitled to a salary and an allowance of approximately 150,000 rupees every month, inclusive of telephone, fuel, postal and insurance allowances. There are 417 councillors in total at the 9 provincial councils. A sum of 60 million rupees of taxpayers' monies is spent on paying only the allowance for these councillors. Annually, over 750 million rupees are spent for the upkeep of the 9 provincial councils. The cost incurred every time the council convenes is 0.5 million rupees. The council convenes twice every month. What is the service rendered by the provincial councils that are maintained at a massive cost? Attempting to purchase brand new chairs for the council at the cost of 700,000 rupees each, scolding principals, accusing them of not welcoming him properly, replacing the name of Thotagamuwe Sri Rahula Vidyalaya with his own name are some of the actions of the Chief Minister of the Western Province. 3 provincial councillors at the Western Province were also captured on camera surfing the net for pornographic content on newly installed touchscreen computers during the reading of the budget at the Provincial Council. Will the general public not question the excessive amounts of money spent to maintain these provincial councillors that engage in such activities? For your attention.
While the general public of the country are suffering on a daily basis, government ministers make various statements on the country's economy. Now are these MPs speaking the truth?
This port that belongs to us will be leased under a partnership deal. We will receive the money now. There won't be any problem to pay for the Hambantota port in another 6 months. We will receive a check of $300 million under the first phase. Sri Lanka will receive the money. Although the Prime Minister made this statement on the 9th of December 2017 while making the agreement to hand over the Hambantota port to a Chinese company, what really happened to it? According to a report published on the Sunday Times last weekend, the loan for the Hambantota port was simply transferred from the accounts of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority to the Treasury. Although the loan obtained for the construction of the Hambantota port was due to be absorbed in exchange for shares by a Chinese company named CM Port, that had not happened. The government has been continuously paying the loan and its premium from 2014. In the end, Sri Lanka lost control over the Hambantota port and currently receives no assistance in settling the massive loan obtained for its construction.
So the point is, and there are more crimes behind this for us. We lost a port for 99 years. For what? $1,200, $300 million.
That's
now what do you say about the light rail system? $1,800 million. Now we are getting another loan. A country which sells a port saying that we cannot.
The debt burden during the years from 2005 to 2014 had gone up to 233%. Honestly speaking, Mahinda Rajapaksa had left us with a debt mountain even higher than the Mithotamulla garbage dump. Sri Lanka needs 3.2 trillion rupees to pay off the foreign debts. From that, we are spending 82% to pay off debts that were taken during Mahinda Rajapaksa's regime. According to the financial statement in 2005, the country's total debt was 2,142 billion rupees. When Mahinda Rajapaksa was defeated in 2014, the debt had risen to 6,721 billion rupees. During these 10 years, the country's debt increased by 4,579 billion rupees. After the government change in 2015, the debt had increased to 7,830 billion rupees. And as at the 31st of December 2018, the country's debt had hit 11,994 billion rupees. The increase during the past 4-year period was 4,164 billion rupees. Although the initial loans were paid off, these figures are evident that more loans had been obtained to pay off these liabilities. In the end, no matter who governs the country, the people are taken down a dark abyss of never-ending debt, making the people forever debtors.
We just laid the foundation stone for a refinery, which is basically Indian owned, and a cement plant and LNG plant which are Sri Lankan owned. So we certainly have not found any difficulties, and we find that we've taken it complimentary, but we finally want this to become the hub of the Indian Ocean.
Although preparations are being made to establish Sri Lanka as the hub of the Indian Ocean, is this really happening? While the government bragged about a massive investment in the form of a vehicle assembly plant by Volkswagen, the company itself rejected the fact that any such investments were even being contemplated. Another example of the reality of the situation are the attempts made to claim that the tallest building in Asia will be constructed in Colombo. Projects to provide Wi-Fi to the entire country via a Google Loon project are still only a dream. Recently, the government claimed that Oman will be investing in an oil refinery project in Hambantota. This claim was rejected by the Omani government. It has been revealed that an infamous Indian businessman and politician named S. Jagatrakshigan is the man behind the project. This Indian politician has stated that he has resigned from the company and his wife has not purchased any shares of the company. Transparency International warned that this sort of investment could increase the risk of money laundering in Sri Lanka from bad to worse. Instead of providing a reliable response to these issues, the government has now resorted to making claims that a second oil refinery will be constructed in Hambantota. The company said to be investing $14 billion for the second oil refinery, Sugi Energy International, is a company that was named in the Panama Papers. Is Sri Lanka going to be transformed into the hub of the Indian Ocean through such projects? We will work with dedication to provide electricity for 24 hours. If not for an emergency situation like a tsunami, electricity will be provided for 24 hours. The public are experiencing first-hand the effects of the government's failure to deliver on this promise. The government had failed to construct any power plant during the course of the last 4 years. All the people who were saying that the rupee is crumbling down, please give a headline to this tonight. The Sri Lankan rupee is among the 3 best performing currencies in the world. This does not mean that the rupee will continue to strengthen against the dollar. For the rupee to strengthen continuously against the dollar, our exports should increase. Also, there should be an increase in foreign direct investment. The rupee has temporarily strengthened against the dollar due to the fluctuation in the foreign exchange. About 70% of the foreign exchange that comes into the country is through expatriates. So that means if the rupee is to further strengthen, more people from our country should go for employment overseas and send dollars into the country. But nothing like that has happened. Instead of that, there is a crisis in the industrial sector. A large number of people have lost their jobs. The finance minister of the country, Mangala Samaravira, may not be an expert on economics. He may be an expert in his line of work, be it modeling or something else. But as far as his statements on the economy and the management of the country goes, what knowledge does he use to make these statements?
But is the economy about to collapse? Growth is low, but it is getting higher. The inflation is well within target. Inflation is okay. So where is this economy collapse?
Despite the central bank governor's statement, what is the present situation of the country's economy? Print media reported today that the World Bank expects Sri Lanka's growth rate to reduce to 3.5% from the expected growth rate of 4%. The economic growth rate for last year, which was forecast at 3.9%, ended with a growth rate of 3.2%. Meanwhile, the Committee on Public Accounts informed Parliament that the figures presented by the government on the growth rate of the economy are contradictory. Lies, lies, lies.
We are affected. Not only us. If we are affected, that's fine because we are responsible. electing these kind of lot of idiots to govern us. But the crime is the unborn grandchildren of our generations are going to suffer. Not only us, because most of these loans are coming due for payment maybe in 30-40 years from now. There is a generation which is yet unborn and they are not even taking part in the decision making process.
Did you know DIG Lankas de Silva, arrested over an alleged plot to assassinate high-profile individuals in the country, was further remanded until the 23rd of April. The suspect was produced before the Fourth Magistrate Ranga Disanayaka today.
Court ordered the Criminal Investigations Department to produce at the next hearing a report on the circumstantial evidence uncovered to prove the charges made against De Silva. The magistrate also ordered the Criminal Investigations Department to provide protection to the Operations Director of the Anti-Corruption Movement, Namal Kumara, under the Assistance to and Protection of Victims of Crime and Witness Act. Attorney at Law Ajit Prasanna informed court today that Namal Kumara has been threatened by politicians, members of the underworld gangs and even senior police officers.
A media briefing was convened at the office of the opposition leader today.
Various news reports and social media sites claim that 2 cases have been filed against former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa at courts in the United States. It is with much responsibility that we state that Gotabaya Rajapaksa had not received any such legal notice till date, and such actions will not affect his ability to give up US citizenship. Recently, an event was held in Kandy to award an honorary title to Minister Sajith Premadasa. He was awarded this title at Minister Malik Samaravikrama's residence when a few people gathered. Minister Mangala Samaravira and a media personnel was also among the participants. This media personnel is an English medium journalist and a close associate of Speaker Karu Jayasuriya. I will not reveal his name as he is a journalist. However, if he was a politician, I would have revealed his name. During this unofficial meeting, it is decided by Minister Malik Samaravikrama, Mangala Samaravira and Sajith Premadasa to file a case against Gotabaya Rajapaksa immediately if he submits documents to withdraw from US citizenship. This is the same doubt political leaders have. He has clearly stated in public that he is prepared.
In sports news now, St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia won the final of the Under-19 Division 1 Limited Over Cricket Tournament, which was held at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. Now, for the past 2 years, Richmond College Galle has emerged victorious in the cricket tournament. At the end of the match, a tense situation erupted on the pitch.
While Richmond College are the defending champions, this is Richmond's 3rd back-to-back final in the limited over arena. Following the match, a fight erupted between the supporters in the premises. St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia defeated Richmond College Galle by 12 runs to win the title of the Under-19 Division 1 Limited Over Cricket Tournament. The Thomians batting first posted 261 runs all out in 49.4 overs. However, chasing 262 to win, Richmond College were bundled out for 249 runs in 49.1 overs.
And that's a wrap of this edition of Primetime News. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Azra Hassan. Take care and good night.